But yeah, so how are Black Lives Matter taking all of this?
So they're kind of on the ropes, aren't they? They got nothing to
Biden
do.
isn't calling them back.
Yeah, so, I mean, I think we spoke about this before, that he got voted into power. They posted a celebration of it on Twitter.
Yep.
And then, like a week later, he had a meeting with civil rights leaders, and they weren't on the list.
Nope.
And then they were complaining about it on Twitter, like, why aren't we being invited? It's like, because we're done with you.
Yeah.
You know, the dog toy's been used.
Turns out the useful idiots get the wall, as Yuri Bezmenov warned.
Yeah, because these people weren't useful to the Democrat campaign. I don't know why they accepted the violence for so long. Like, I would have thought it'd be better for their campaign to just denounce it from the outset.
Yeah, campaign, though.
Campaign, yeah.
Campaign.
Okay.
I mean, Joe Biden didn't do much campaigning.
No. I mean, what do you call sitting in your basement?
Not campaigning, that's for sure.
But there's been some developments. So it was, I think it's MLK Day or something like that. It's like a celebration of Martin Luther King, which, sure, okay. I'm not an American. It's not my thing, but I can see why people want to celebrate this. So Black Lives Matter got on this by celebrating Martin Luther King in the most respectful and tasteful way imaginable. You know, a civil rights leader who had been killed in his
by the government.
I don't think we know, actually, but that's
sure,
conversation for another time.
we don't, but let's
a moral man who had fought for civil rights, died while fighting for civil rights. How would you celebrate this man's achievements? By twerking. That's how we do it. If we were Black Lives Matter, so if we can get that on screen, that's a Black Lives Matter post on Instagram. Lovely lady twerking there.
It's so respectable.
So this is Washington Black Lives Matter MLK Artist Series. Artist statement: Twerk on Washington is a declaration of freedom and healing. And then some other nonsense that I'm not going to waste my time with. But you can see how it's just devolving into cringe.
Well, no, but look at what they've written there, right? Artist statement. Twerk on Washington is a declaration of freedom and healing, advocating for the decolonization of over-sexualizing black women's bodies to reclaim an ancient sacred dance of liberation and wellness. Really? Really? Twerking is an ancient sacred dance, is it?
But it's decolonizing the over-sexualization of bodies.
Of black women's bodies. Right, okay, so essentially this is kind of Orwell's Imagine a Vision of the Future, and it's a decolonized, over-sexualized black woman twerking in front of the Lincoln Memorial.
But yeah, it's really cringe. I had to bring it up because even Tariq Nasheed disavowed this, which I found amazing.
You say even Tariq Nasheed, but I find myself liking Tariq Nasheed more and more the more time goes on.
Yeah, but I find Tariq Nasheed a very interesting character, but I just love the fact that he found this and was just like, really? And I'm fully on board. This is degeneracy. This is.
But I mean, the thing is, right, Tariq believes a bunch of kooky stuff, but the thing is, he presents himself well. I mean, look at his profile picture, right? He's dressed incredibly well.
Yeah.
And what's he arguing for here? Not being, like, disgusting, frankly. And I love the way he says it. Like, look, you know, the official Black Lives Matter page posted this goofy nonsense. Get ready for 4 years of Democrat-funded plantation indoctrination. Dude's on point.
Yeah. When you're right, you're right. And Tariq Nasheed is definitely right on this one.
Yeah. I'm liking Tariq Nasheed these days.
But it turns out there's been some other sort of, I'm gonna say celebrations in Black Lives Matter's movement.
Right.
And the best one I found was from Amazon. If we can get that up. So this is something I found the other day. You can look on their website, and it turns out if you're in the US, apparently you can set it so you can find if a product is made by a small business owner, a minority-owned business, a women-owned business, veteran-owned business, or LGBT-owned business.
Good.
So you can literally say, I only want to buy from minorities or the opposite, of course.
I mean, like, this is the identity politics politicization of American society, right? Like this is.
I just love how it intersects with, like, I don't know what you call Amazon, like some kind of capitalism that's very strange.
Well, globalist capitalism, but
yeah.
like
but they're very progressive.
But this is what I mean about the social justice warriors have taken over absolutely everything, because this is what they want for society: identity groups to be broken down and split apart. You know, it's not just you're buying from a company and
you're buying from a black person.
You're buying from a political person. You are engaging in politics while you just go around what is supposed to be the anonymous business of capitalism. And that was the way that, like, people like Adam Smith would advertise it. Look, capitalism anonymizes society. You don't know who you're selling and trading with when someone goes into your shop and buys something.
Yeah,
and
the only color that matters is green.
Exactly, and that's the strength of it. That is an equalizing force. You know, that prevents bigotry, prevents all these things, because you don't care. It's not in your interest, so why would you think about it?
But the SJWs don't want that. They want it to be all categorized, where we have minority-owned businesses, LGBT-owned businesses.
Exactly.
That's not just some wacky right-wing theory. Amazon are doing it.
Yeah.
Like, you can set this up, apparently.
Yeah, this is the politicization of all of society. Enjoy. This is what Biden's ushering in.
And of course, there's the obvious irony that, the Ku Klux Klan probably love this.
Oh, yeah.
They can literally say, "Oh, minority-owned business, no thanks, and go on to the next one."
Exactly. I won't check that one.
You've helped out all the Nazis. Good job.
Yeah,
Great
absolutely.
job.
Absolutely.
But they go on to say here about what you can do. So you can do. I can understand maybe the ones where it's like, small business owner. Yeah, maybe you don't want to support huge corporations, but then why are you shopping on Amazon?
Yeah.
I gotta wonder.
Yeah, why are
like,
you
if it's a
even
big
there?
deal for you.
Yeah.
But whatever. Veterans, maybe. But the obvious contenders are the reasons they haven't rolled this in the UK is because it would be
Illegal.
a breach of the law.
Yeah. You're not allowed to discriminate because of race or gender or anything like that.
Yeah, the SJWs are finding themselves in a problem that the previous leftists have made it illegal for them to do this.
Listen, we know that you guys like MLK a lot, but actually he was racist. Actually, he was a white supremacist. And actually, he's preventing justice from occurring. It's like, right, okay, that's where we're at.
You've got to judge them on the colour of their skin, not the content of their character.
Yes.
Black Lives Matter USA. Anyway, so there's the point here. You can put it on minorities, you can put it on women and LGBT owned, and they have agencies in all 50 states that are recognized to hand out these certifications. So for your particular state, let's say if you have a business and you want to cash in on wokeness, you find a transsexual person of color and you make them the owner then give them some money, and you can be registered. Some of these are tied with the government, which is the really creepy part. So like Oklahoma State has an agreement with this where they will overlook the certification process.
Yeah.
Which, why on earth? Like, it's already bad enough when private companies are doing this. Why would you want the state determining if you can be a black-owned business or something like that?
I don't know, but I just can't. I mean, literally, the Democrats haven't even got into power yet, and they're already bringing back racial discrimination and segregation.
Yeah, I mean, we found this in Biden's manifesto when we were going through it. There are a bunch of agencies no one's ever heard of that are buried deep within the American government, which are set up exclusively for racial purposes.
Yeah.
And one of the weirdest ones is like Biden wanted to bring in more funding for these organizations, is how we found out about them. And then you look into them, it's like if the government wants to set up a contract for building a road, they have to get a certain percentage, in Oklahoma, for example, from like Native American community construction owners and things like this. It's like, what? Who cares? Like, I don't care if they're what color they are. Like, surely it's on the road bill.
Racist care.
But that's the problem. It's progressive racism. And it's not just the USA that's sort of crumbling under its own cringe. Black Lives Matter UK have also been sort of
have
exploding.
they?
I just wanted to show you their website because it's just trash. Like, I thought we had website problems. Like, there's an autoplay in here as well. I can't find it. Like, if you scroll, there's just endless graphics and videos of stuff. Runs like crap as well. But yeah. Just close the tab. Trust me, it's probably taken up all the RAM in the machine. But
Yeah.
they're not officially connected to the USA branch, and there might be a reason for this because it seems to have been like 3 guys in a bedroom who set this up. And they fairly recently, changed their legal status to become Black Liberation Movement UK. A little bit more radical sounding name, but there was a reason for this. It's not because of an ideological shift, it's because of money. So they set up a GoFundMe to fund Black Lives Matter UK a while back, and people gave £1.2 million.
Wow.
Which is about
gullible rubes
40
like
trillion
Abby
US
Stevens
dollars.
there with £500 to these grifters in their basements.
Yeah, if you go to the top donations, you can actually see like tens of thousands of pounds being given from like advertising.
So virtuous.
Organisations.
You've saved black people.
Yeah, so
Alexander Economopoulos.
he runs a few printing companies. I checked him out.
What about Derek Burkett?
I don't know him.
Gary Newman,
Brain Labs
Labs
is a think tank.
Huff UK. Is that Huffington Post UK?
I believe it
Oh,
might be.
they're so virtuous.
Inspired Thinking Group and other bullshit organizations.
I'm so glad that you guys gave these people your money. I'm so glad.
Totally worthwhile, I'm sure. You couldn't have better invested that for your customers.
Yep.
Well, I suppose for some of these organizations don't have any customers, do they?
No,
They're just nonsense organizations.
What customers do these people have?
Yeah, this is like when Bill Gates donates a bunch of money to an organization that
Yeah.
does nothing, and it's like it's a tax write-off. That's all
Yeah.
it is.
Yeah.
So, and some of the quotes out of this were amazing. I mean, I want to go over them again just because of I can't believe they wrote this and got
Gun.
£1.2 million. So they say that Black Lives Matter UK is a coalition of black activists and organisers across the UK. Coalition. I wonder how many people that is. So our commitment to all black lives means that we lift up the experiences of the most marginalized within our communities, including but not limited to working class queer. There's no comma there. Working class queer. Okay. Trans, undocumented, disabled, Muslim, sex workers, women, non-binary, and HIV plus positive people.
Okay.
Like,
Black Lives Matter
seems to be a bit broad, but okay.
It seems to be a bit intersectional. These are all the intersectional talking points and
Like, if you've got HIV, you're black. But of course, this
if you're a sex worker, guess what you are?
Dark chocolate. Anyway, but this is obviously just
twerking.
Advertising.
It's your cultural heritage.
It's them advertising and signaling to the other
leftists,
SJWs, you need to donate to us. We're on your side. And this gets weirder, so they say in here. Black communities are hardest hit by the coronavirus pandemic. Black people are dying at up to 4 times the rate of their white counterparts. This is racism. Full stop. Period. Nothing else. Just no explanation. No, like, oh, here's the reasons and here's how we're going to help. This is just racism.
Well, what can we do to hold the coronavirus to account for its racism?
Show trials, I guess.
Yeah, I guess so.
We'll get sick people on stage and beat them to death.
Dear coronavirus, how do you plead?
So, obvious nonsense. Like, obviously just some, leftist trying to rinse money out of
It worked. £1.2 million.
And it worked. They got the 1.2 million.
We haven't raised 1.2 million. If you'd like to help us raise 1.2 million, you can go to lotus.com and become a member.
What would you even do with 1.2 million? Like this, you could do so much with 1.2 million.
I would build an Alex Jones style studio. That's what I would do. I'd have a massive Alex Jones style studio. One day we're going to get it. When we've got enough subscribers, we're going to buy a building, make an amazing studio. It'll be incredible.
Build our own server farm.
Yeah.
Oh man, that'd be good.
Yeah.
Anyway,
so we'll literally be these sort of Alex Jones positions. So no matter what we say, they can never take us off the grid. We'll always be there on the internet saying things that they don't like.
So they decided to do something else with this money. Apparently not spend it, which is one way of looking at it. So this article from The Guardian, which is the next one, which is how I found out about this. I think it's a couple of days old? Yeah. Saying that they've got the 1.2 mil now because they officially are Black Liberation UK.
Yep.
And they're going to donate more than £100,000. That's not 1.2 mil. So a bit sus.
That is the most staggeringly effective grift I've ever seen. Like, honestly, you get 1.2 million and 100,000. So, like 1.1 million is left unaccounted for. 100,000. 0.1 is going to someone.
I think this information's public, but it's mentioned in Andy No's book, which we will be doing an interview with him at some point, I hope.
Will.
But the Minnesota Freedom Fund, so the bailout that Kamala Harris retweeted, I think it was like $38 million in total.
Bloody
and then they ended up spending $800,000 on bailouts. So they took home.
Where did the 37.2 million go?
It's being held for future riots, I presume. Because it's bailout money as well. So if they turn out, it's just to bail them out. Once they get back, the money goes back to the bailout fund, surely.
Oh, I don't know.
In which case, that they've probably got most of that 800,000 back.
I don't know.
But I mean, it's a pretty good grift. Like,
it's amazing.
I hate using the term grift because I know
I'm not a big fan of it. Yeah.
But if you were literally saying, "Give us money to do the thing," you get given millions, and then you don't do the thing with the money,
or you give a very tiny amount of that money for the thing.
Yeah,
that's a huge grift.
I ain't got a better term for it.
Huge grift.
So they sort of defend themselves in here, in which they're saying that Black Lives Matter UK will be releasing more than £100,000 to black-led organisations across the country by the end of the month. Of course, it's black-led. I mean, I presume people knew that this was going to be used in a racial way. Racist funding. Good job, guys.
Yeah.
I'm sure your printing shop workers would be very proud.
Yep.
Give them £10,000. And saying that it registered its company with Black Liberation UK so it could receive the donations because before it couldn't. And there's a reason for this, which is that they seem to be just a group of people. Like, nothing special about them. I watched some of their videos on their website. Trash. Like, I have to do a lot of jump cuts, but not that bad. So they mention here that the society was registered by Adam Elliott Cooper, Alexander Wajiku Kelbert, and Lisa Robinson. Adam Cooper, I watched some of his interviews. Incredibly posh accent. Nice little man bun.
Is he black?
I think it counts. I don't know what the correct term is.
Okay.
But he's not Nigerian. Right. I think that's as close as I can get it. I haven't seen the other two, but it makes me incredibly suspect. So because
a very, very nice accent.
Yeah, very posh upper class accent, like better accent than mine, obviously.
Yeah.
And he's an academic. The next lady mentioned is a PhD student, and the next
all of these poor, oppressed, and downtrodden folk.
Yeah, the next
if only the white supremacy would give them a break
and then,
instead of a PhD and £1 million. All they needed was an opportunity, Callum. But all they got instead were wealth and education.
A small loan of $1 million.
A small loan of $1 million, but it's not even a loan. They don't have to pay that back.
Interest-free loan that you never have to pay back. Oh boy. And then the next lady is
won't the oppression end?
A director of Nottingham-based social enterprise, which means nothing. I have no idea what that means. Social enterprise. She's a socialite, I guess.
Well, no, I mean, I don't know, a social enterprise. I don't know,
whatever.
Some NGO or something. I don't know.
But they do not seem
non-profit.
The downtrodden in life. They seem like people
they sound like
who have had an immense good time, and I'm not saying that proves that they've done anything wrong. It's fine.
Oh no, they've done nothing illegal.
Like
this is just hilarious.
But you've now been given £1 million, and their defense was around 10 to 15% will be donated straight away to black-led campaigns. Again, I hate that.
Yeah.
Like, why are you racializing your money? But whatever.
Well, everything's racialized for them.
Yep. But they say that the black-led campaigns and organizations that we are already familiar with and have been working with in the last 5 years. You only set this up 4 years ago, so these are your friends. Like these are guys you've known for 5 years, so you've been working with for a long time.
They've got a lot of student loan debt that they need to pay back, and they're black. Therefore, this is liberation.
Yeah, it's a form of liberation, I guess.
Liberate me from the student debts I accrued.
And they say that the money, the 10 to 15%, you'll notice, is about £100,000.
Yeah.
So they're just going to give their friends that £100,000, and the rest of it, God knows. I guess we'll see. So they mention here that the groups of what they will do with the money is they will include educational projects, propaganda, campaign groups, propaganda, police monitoring groups, may be useful, as well as some new protest groups, propaganda.
Yeah.
Which will help organise demonstrations in the coming summer. It's like, okay.
Well, all I'm saying is, come on, COVID. Keep everything locked down.
But
not that matters. They'll just be given a free pass.
You took all this money and you're spending it on propaganda. Yeah, okay, great use of cash. Like, you could have helped so many people, but nah. Like, they're not a commercial enterprise. If they were commercial and they were just out to make money, fine, whatever.
Yeah.
But they're not. They are here as some kind of charitable organization.
Yeah.
And they're just spending money on themselves, which.
Like every charitable organisation.
Yeah. The announcement comes as activists from the group All Black Lives Matter UK, a different group, non-affiliated, because that group, All Black Lives Matter, were the ones who went to Bristol and tore down the statue and vowed to return as soon as lockdowns have ended. So they're not going to stop ever. And this
Black liberation can wait until the state has finished tyrannising us, you see.
Yeah, although this never stopped them before. Like, we had lockdowns, and they were still out protesting. So
and they were bending the knee to them.
Yeah, the government bended the knee. Literally, police officers were bending the knee to
literally on their knees.
So this is related to the fact that the government has now released some new law they're going to pass, which is to make tearing down statues much harder. I think you get a longer prison sentence for it now.
Oh, good.
But if you can get that up, that's the next archive link. So statues and monuments given safeguard from baying mobs. That's a Conservative minister talking about it. And then I wanted to get the Guardian up because their takes on this I think were funnier. So the minister says, "We live in a country that believes in the rule of law, but when it comes to protecting our heritage, due process has been overridden. That can't be right. Local people should have a chance to be consulted about whether a monument should or should not stand. What has stood for generations should be considered thoughtfully, not removed at the whim or at the behest of a baying mob."
Correct
statement. And he says that any decision to remove a statue will now require planning permission and also a consultation with local residents. You can't just go out and do these things. You will be arrested and we'll put the statue back up. Great. He also says that
Can you imagine how that conversation is going to go, though? We're going to tear this statue down because this person was a slave owner. And they're just like, yes.
So our view will be set out in law. Such motions will always be best explained through... best situations will be best explained and contextualized, not hidden away. So they want to explain the statue. But yes, this is the right thing to do. I think vast majority of the public would agree. And the evidence for that, I'm not going to bring out any polls. I'm just going to bring out the opposition's response to him saying this, which is so weak, it's funny. So the Labour Party gave a statement about this, saying that they should, instead of saying these things, focus on the COVID pandemic. What? Like, just complete deflection. Like, we're not going to defend our position whatsoever. And then the Guardian give a whole bunch
Well,
of
why
other...
would you? I mean, if you've got this really indefensible position by a raging mob of racial activists, and you're like, Christ, I'd be sweating if I was just some sort of like, middle-class Labour activist. I'd be like, yeah.
But like the Labour Party can't defend it.
No,
Okay, that's one thing. They've got Keir Starmer in. But then they give a bunch of other Labour campaigners in here, and none of them can even defend it. They give a historian who's a Labour supporter, can't defend it, just says focus on COVID instead. Runnymede Trust, another BS organisation that supports Labour. All they said is focus on COVID.
The Runnymede Trust is cancer.
So it's just like, oh, okay. So
the Runnymede Trust are the ones who came up with the term Islamophobia back in the 90s.
I believe it.
Oh, they are. They're awful.
But they've got no defense to this, and none of the leftists have any defense.
Good.
So it tells me that they know that this is the most unpopular thing they could possibly support. It's good to see it get crushed.
I imagine Jeremy Corbyn's currently on social media supporting it.
And I also wanted to mention the last thing here, which happened just before we came on show, so I had to quickly put it in, which is that the story around Jacob Blake has exploded. So this is Black Lives Matter USA defending Jacob Blake. It's a miracle that Jacob Blake is alive. We're grateful for his life.
Wasn't this guy the guy who was sexually assaulting a woman in front of her kid?
He had done. Yep. He was
literally. That's why the cops are called. They had a warrant. Penetrated her digitally.
He used his hand to rape her, and then they had a warrant for his arrest. So they came out after she called the police and said.
And then he went to go for a knife.
Yeah, he did. So, but this is Black Lives Matter defending him at the time, saying, and they wonder why we say Black Lives Matter, #Jacob Blake. It's no surprise that Kenosha officer was not charged for attempted murder of Jacob Blake, because there is no criminal justice system that works for black people, and there is no safety or justice in America for black people.
Oh my God! I mean, for the woman who was raped by Jacob Blake, you could say that.
And there's an argument here. Like, I grit my teeth, but there was an argument. Regardless of how sick a person is, if they were shot in the back unjustly, it would be unjust.
Sure.
But that is not what happened in this case, and we have the proof now, thanks to Jacob Blake. So this is a clip I want to play of him. He gave an interview, and I wanted to play the video that I've clipped out. That's the most relevant part.
Police deploy a stun gun multiple times. Blake pulls the prongs out of his skin. Officer Shesky and Blake end up in a physical altercation on the ground.
We see you walk away from the officers after they try to grab you.
At that point, I'm rattled. I realized I had dropped my knife. I had a little pocket knife. So I picked it up after I got off of him because they tased me and I fell on top of him.
Blake turns away from the officers and walks around the front of the vehicle towards the driver's side door.
What are you thinking at that point?
I had picked my knife up. I'm like, I'm not really worried. I'm walking away from them, so it's not like they're going to shoot me. I shouldn't have picked it up. At that time, I wasn't thinking clearly.
As Blake opens the door of the car,
Look at the
Officer Shesky claims Blake drove the knife toward his body. Blake denies this.
Right. Not illegal to have that knife. So,
Sure.
But you have police officers who have just tased you. They've taken you to the ground. They told you we have a warrant for your arrest because you've sexually assaulted the woman right in front of you. We're going to arrest you. And he drops his knife, and he thinks the best thing to do is to pick up the knife and then go over to his car side. He later defends this in the interview as like, I was going to put the knife in the car and then lay down and surrender.
No,
Do you think we were born yesterday?
Yeah, no, you weren't.
Why wouldn't you do that at any point beforehand?
Yeah.
What, the knife being in the car is so sacred?
Why were you even fighting the cops?
So this is just an open admission from him, I believe, that he's guilty and is a Billy BS.
Yeah. But so this rapist who was fighting with cops, Black Lives Matter, like, was so grateful for his life. Is she?
But this isn't...
Do women not matter anymore?
No, women don't.
Okay.
And this interview was trying to make him look good as well. There's an article here. They list some of the omissions. So they try and paint the idea that the cops turned up and didn't have... They could have walked away.
Yeah.
Not true. Legally, they would have broken the law if they'd done that. He had a warrant for his arrest. They have to arrest him. So it's worse.
He's sexually assaulting a woman. I mean,
this is his first interview since coming out, and it's actually, the reality is worse than this interview tries to give, and this interview, I think, condemns him utterly. So, but this is just another one of these cases where Black Lives Matter came out and were like, this guy's been wrongfully done.
He's our new hero. He's George Floyd.
Yeah, resisting arrest, rapist, carrying a knife. Sod off. I'm not having any of this.
Yeah.
So, yeah, Black Lives Matter continues to fall down the rabbit hole of nonsense.
Well, right. So after this, we're going to be recording a premium podcast about the ethics of social justice and why every social justice movement ends up defending the absolute scum of the earth, and that every single one of Black Lives Matter's martyrs so far has been total scum. Like, not one of them would be the sort of person you'd want to spend any time with. Not one of them have been people who have had, just a history of not being scum. They've just all been scum. And why is this, right? Why is this? We're going to be exploring this later on in a premium podcast that should be up tomorrow or later this week, because I think I've hit on the reason why, and I'm not going to spoil it now.